Boosie going to jail! Oh, God.
A lot of things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making. So I just want to get it over with, and, you know, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over with.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer, but I just need prayer. I don't need nothing else.
Well, Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard it.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years. Probably.
3 years.
Boosie has been fighting demons for years, but this time it feels like the walls are finally closing in. The feds are pressing heavy, and his latest federal gun case just turned his world upside down. Word spread that he could be facing a 10-year sentence. And the moment that news hit, guess who jumped out from the shadows? None other than Charleston White, the loudest troll in hip-hop. The second Boosie's case hit the blogs, Charleston was online dancing like it was Christmas morning.
Going to jail! Oh, God. Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street ain't got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. He going to jail. All that newborn baby. Won't get to Boosie, won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail!
He was laughing, cracking jokes, and even bragging that he had been waiting for this moment. The man flat out said he never cared if Boosie made it back home. Cold-hearted, but that is Charleston for you. He thrives on chaos, and this was his Super Bowl. Here is where it gets complicated. Earlier this year, Boosie told his fans he was tired of fighting and ready to take a plea deal.
Where the feds picked it up.
Now, it was a state case. The feds came, picked it up. They had a ruling in the Supreme Court that went in my favor, and the case got dropped by the judge.
He said he trusted God, but you could see the case was wearing him down. Remember, this same gun charge was already dismissed once in 2023. Back then, everyone thought Boosie was finally free to focus on his music, his family, and staying out of trouble. But the feds circled back in 2024, revived the same charge, and indicted him again. This time, the pressure was too much, and Boosie folded, saying he was done wasting his energy in court. He admitted on X that he believed God does not make mistakes, and he was ready to accept his fate. That was not just another post. You could feel the exhaustion in every word.
He brought you up because you were attacking Kanye because of the...
Nah, that was before. This Kanye West shit just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, you know, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. Can't take no risk of losing this shit behind, you know.
Fans who have been riding with Boosie since his Baton Rouge days know he has always lived on the edge. Court cases, street beefs, even health scares. He has been dodging bullets, both real and legal, for years. But this one feels different. 10 years is no slap on the wrist, and it hit him like a ton of bricks. The Boosie fans saw on social media was not the same fiery man who clapped back at trolls. This was someone worn down, almost broken, like the fight had finally left his body. While fans flooded his mentions with love and prayers, Charleston White was online popping champagne like he hit the jackpot. He went live with a grin from ear to ear, bragging that he predicted this years ago and could not wait to celebrate Boosie's downfall. Then, he crossed an even darker line by saying he hoped Boosie would never make it home. That is wild, even by Charleston standards. But being wild is exactly what keeps his name buzzing.
I ain't really got no opinion on him, because, you know, my opinion can send me to prison. So I ain't really, you know, I ain't really got no opinion on him, you know, once you go to threaten people's kids, talking about you out of line. So, you know, I ain't the one gonna do all that. I ain't gonna do all that, you know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, you know, certain people you can't really express opinions on, and he one of those. You can't express how you feel because you might end up in prison. And I ain't getting tricked off the streets.
What makes the situation even crazier is that Charleston's beef with Boosie did not just appear out of nowhere. It has been brewing for years, and Charleston was always lurking, waiting for Boosie to slip. Their drama traces back to late 2022, when Kanye West shocked the culture with his infamous White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie was one of the first to speak out, saying Kanye was disrespecting black people. Most agreed with him, but Charleston flipped the script. He jumped online blasting Boosie for even speaking on Kanye. From there, it was war. Charleston did not stop at calling Boosie out. He went lower than anyone expected, dragging Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, and even T.I.'s son, King Harris, into the mess. He called them ugly, said they could not fight, and even predicted they would both end up in jail one day. That is when people realized Charleston was not just another loudmouth clout chaser. He was the type to go below the belt, targeting family just to cut deeper.
Them white folk, Boosie, you done got too much. You done let these niggas play you too this internet book dumb and it. Say what little Tootie go do now? What little say? Listen, Vlad TV. Vlad post everybody going to jail but Boosie. Somebody tag Vlad TV.
The streets could not believe it, and everyone was waiting for Boosie to snap back like he always does. But surprisingly, he did not. Instead of exploding online, Boosie played it smart. During an interview with Tony the Closer, he explained that running his mouth too much could land him behind bars, especially when someone dragged kids into it.
I'm gonna put your in jail, waiting for the FBI to send me the right kind of number, because I'm finna make a report on your mother to them people. And you make the man call your name specifically. The promoter specifically said your mother ain't Lil Boosie. He implemented you and implicated you. Finna go to jail, back to jail. You gonna be on your knees, but them knees gonna be bleeding again.
So he kept his cool, saying he was not about to let Charleston bait him into doing or saying something reckless. That showed a different side of Boosie. Not scared, just careful. He knew Charleston wanted him to explode, but he refused to give him that satisfaction. Still, the tension was obvious. By early 2023, things really started heating up. Charleston was already trolling T.I. about his so-called paperwork party, and that is when Boosie's son Tootie decided he had enough. Tootie clapped back, calling Charleston old and messy, even telling him to go die.
I feel, I trust in God, man. This crazy.
And Charleston, being Charleston, did not just take the insult and move on. He cranked it up to the next level. He went live saying, "I hope your daddy dies from that diabetes. I hope they forget to send him insulin 1 month." Who even says something like that? That was beyond trolling. That was venom aimed at Boosie through his child. And to make it worse, Tootie actually ended up arrested that same month on a gun charge. The second that news broke, Charleston was online taking credit for it. He bragged about calling the police, sending in pictures, and tipping off the Department of Public Safety.
Not a street kid. I'm not a criminal. I'm a kid who was raised to tell the truth. When my mama come in and say, "Son, what happened?" "Mama, I didn't do that." I gotta pay for a lawyer. I got 2 lawyers, Carl Mallory and Louis Stearns. Louis Stearns became Judge Stearns, Judge Louis Stearns. But nigga, I had 2 paid for a lawyer. My mama is a well-to-do mama. I'm just playing, I ain't playing. I'm an adolescent going through an adolescent stage of rebelliousness. I ain't no street. Hell yeah, I'm gonna tell on you. I've been telling since I was a little bitty boy.
He even accused Boosie of being a 6-time killer who used kids to do his dirt. Wild accusations with 0 proof, but Charleston said it loud enough for it to stick. At that point, their beef officially crossed from internet jokes into real-life consequences. Charleston was not just running his mouth. He was actively trying to wreck Boosie's life and his son's too. And just when you thought it could not get any messier, 2023 swung harder. Not even 3 months after Charleston dragged his son, Boosie himself was picked up in San Diego, right after a court hearing.
He pulled the hammer back on the gun.
It felt like the system had been waiting to snatch him back, and Charleston wasted no time turning it into his own comedy skit. He hopped on Instagram Live preaching like a pastor, saying this was God's plan. He even compared Boosie to Daniel in the lion's den, like prison was some kind of divine punishment. It was disrespect on another level. Some fans thought he was joking. Others thought he was dead serious. Either way, Charleston managed to twist Boosie's pain into content for his followers. That is his hustle, turning other people's struggles into his punchlines. By summer, the trolling had gone so deep that Boosie could not hold back anymore. He finally broke his silence on Vlad TV. In that interview, you could see the frustration boiling over. Boosie openly admitted he did not even want Vlad interviewing Charleston at all, especially after the things he said about Tootie. But again, Boosie made it clear he was not scared of Charleston. He was focused on staying free. That has been his mission from day one. Do not let anyone bait him into saying something that could cost him his freedom. Still, even though he tried to play it cool, you could tell Charleston was living rent-free in his head. Every time Boosie's name hit the headlines, Charleston was right there too, running his mouth and flipping the story. Then, early in 2024, the beef spilled into internet culture in the wildest way. Aiden Ross, one of the biggest streamers around, planned to bring Boosie onto his stream. That could have been huge. Boosie on Twitch with millions watching. But Charleston's name popped back up. Boosie decided not to do it because he did not want to be tied to Charleston's mess. Next thing you know, Aiden flipped the narrative, claiming online that he turned Boosie down out of loyalty to Charleston White. That lie spread like wildfire across social media. People started clowning Boosie like he got curved by a streamer, when in reality, he was just avoiding Charleston's shadow. The whole thing blew up so badly that DJ Vlad had to step in. Vlad went off on Aiden, saying it was insane to side with someone like Charleston, a man who had literally praised Hitler and denied the Holocaust. Vlad calling that out showed just how dangerous Charleston's influence had become. He was no longer just an internet troll. His name carried so much weight that streamers, rappers, and clout chasers were using him like a golden ticket. Even people with no ties to Boosie were inserting themselves just to get clicks off Charleston's name. That is how far his reach had gotten. But Charleston was not done stirring the pot. In March, he jumped back online, claiming Boosie was warning promoters not to book him. Of course, Charleston turned that into another rant, saying Boosie was making threats and that he had already reached out to the feds. He bragged about being ready to get Boosie locked up again, using the FBI like his personal bodyguards. To twist the knife even deeper, he dragged Boosie's health into it, mocking his diabetes like it was some kind of punchline. That is Charleston's style. Hit below the belt, make it personal, and keep the spotlight on himself. And it was not just noise either. Boosie admitted that he was getting calls from people already behind bars asking when he was going to join them. Imagine that. Sitting at home, dealing with a looming federal sentence, and getting phone calls from inmates telling you they are saving you a bunk. That is psychological warfare. Charleston knew exactly what he was doing. This was no longer trolling, it was pressure, making Boosie feel like the walls were closing in before he even touched a cell. And then it got even darker. People started whispering that maybe Boosie did not even want a full trial. Maybe he just wanted it over with. And honestly, can you blame him? Imagine the circus if Charleston White showed up in court. You know he would turn the whole thing into a performance, pointing fingers, cracking jokes at the jury, then running to the blog saying, "I helped put Boosie away." That is not far-fetched. That is Charleston's entire playbook. He brags about calling cops, setting people up, and even admits to testifying back when he was a teenager. That is another piece of Charleston's story that keeps haunting him. When he was just 14, he was part of a robbery where another teen shot a man named Michael Levy. Instead of keeping quiet, Charleston testified in court against his co-defendant, Antoine Doolittle. In street culture, that is the ultimate betrayal, being labeled a snitch. Even though he was a kid, people never let it go. But Charleston does not run from it. He defends it. He says, "I was young. I told the truth." That is not snitching. That is survival. Recently, footage from that old juvenile case resurfaced, and the internet lit up again, calling him a hypocrite. Folks asked, "How can you clown rappers for being rats when you testified yourself?" But Charleston doubled down. He said he never lived by the street code anyway, and did not care who was mad. That is the thing about Charleston. He is untouchable in his own way, because he does not play by the same rules as everyone else. He will clown you for being a rat, while proudly waving his own paperwork in the air. That contradiction keeps people watching, even if they hate him for it. So when you put it all together, Boosie's plea deal, his exhausted demeanor, the internet rumors, and Charleston's never-ending circus, it makes sense why Boosie just wanted to skip the trial and take the plea. The last thing he needed was to sit in a courtroom, while Charleston turned it into a live performance. Boosie was not running from the law. He was running from the chaos Charleston was ready to bring inside that courtroom. And that is what makes this beef so much deeper than trolling. It is personal, it is messy, and it is costing Boosie his peace of mind. Right now, Boosie's world feels like it is hanging by a thread, and Charleston White is treating it like front row entertainment. The moment news broke that Boosie was leaning toward a plea deal, Charleston popped up online celebrating. To him, this was not just another rapper getting caught slipping. This was karma, plain and simple. He went live bragging that everything he had been saying for years was finally coming true. All the trolling, all the insults, all the times he said Boosie would crash out. In Charleston's eyes, this was validation. He acted like the streets had handed him a trophy for being right all along. That is why Charleston's celebrations cut so deep. Boosie had not even fully processed his own reality. And here comes Charleston, dancing on his downfall like it was a party. He even admitted that he had been waiting on this exact moment, like he had prayed for Boosie to end up behind bars again. That tells you this beef is not about clout anymore. It is personal. Charleston has been locked in on Boosie since 2022, and every time something bad happened, he showed up to pour salt on the wound. From clowning Tootie's arrest, to mocking Boosie's health, to calling the feds, it is like he will not stop until Boosie is completely out of the picture. But not everyone is laughing with Charleston. The streets are divided. Some say Boosie brought this on himself, that after years of dodging charges, disrespecting people online, and living recklessly, it was only a matter of time before the feds boxed him in. To them, Charleston is just saying what others are afraid to. But on the other side, there are the diehard Boosie supporters. They see him as a survivor, a man who has been through hell and back and kept pushing. To them, Charleston is less of a truth teller and more of a hater obsessed with tearing down another black man. That is the debate right now, buzzing in barbershops, podcasts, and comment sections everywhere. One thing is for sure, if Charleston is this loud, while Boosie is still technically free, imagine the circus if the judge actually hands him a 10-year sentence. Charleston will treat it like his personal victory parade. He will be live streaming, shouting, maybe even popping bottles. That is how far he is willing to go to rub it in. And do not be surprised if he keeps digging deeper. Charleston thrives on other people's pain. The more people react, the more energy he gets, and the cycle keeps feeding itself. Meanwhile, Boosie is trying to lean on faith, but his words sound tired. His posts about trusting God no longer sound like the cocky Boosie fans grew up with. They sound like a man bracing for the worst. When you have Charleston in your ear, the feds breathing down your neck, and the internet split between mocking you and praying for you, peace feels impossible. This is not just about prison time. This is about legacy. Whether Boosie can bounce back, or if Charleston's voice will echo over his career forever. To put it plain, this is one of the wildest beefs in hip-hop right now. It is not built on records, street corners, or money. It is built on humiliation. Charleston White made it his mission to embarrass Boosie every step of the way. And now, with the possibility of a decade behind bars, Charleston is acting like the king of the internet. But here is the catch. If Boosie really does get locked up, it could backfire. Why? Because prison has been a strange reset button for many artists. And if Boosie comes home stronger after 10 years, Charleston's celebration might not age well. For now, it is a waiting game. Boosie's plea deal is on the table. The streets are buzzing, and Charleston is circling like a vulture, ready to feast on whatever is left of his reputation. This is not just another headline. This is a story that tests loyalty, exposes fake friends, and shows who is really rooting for your downfall. And no matter what side people take, one thing is clear. The spotlight has never been hotter. The outcome will shake the culture for years to come. So the only question left is this. Will Boosie rise again? Or will Charleston White get the last laugh? The answer is coming soon, and the whole world is watching. Do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment to keep up with more wild stories just like this.